Hey there everyone, it's Maria Young here, and thank you guys so much for hanging out with me right here at My Orchid Adventures. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking to you guys all about the orchids that I dream of having. The orchids that I love, love, love with a passion, but unfortunately I cannot have them. And I'm going to be telling you guys exactly why I can't have them and also why I refuse to get them. And as some of you guys may have been able to guess, this is actually my orchid tag video, and I was tagged by the very wonderful, very beautiful, very witty, quirky, and very clever Blanca Acosta. So thank you for tagging me. And this was actually a conversation that was started by Archie, who wanted to know what orchids everybody wished or wanted but could not have. So this one is for you. Okay, so you guys already know I am just a little bit backwards, and yes, we do things a little bit different here at My Orchid Adventures. So what I'm actually going to start off by doing is telling you why I cannot get these orchids, why I absolutely refuse to get them, and I'm hoping that'll get the wheels turning and give you a better perspective on how you are choosing your orchids as well. And then afterwards, I'll tell you those orchids that I really, really want but cannot have. Guys, I gotta tell you, it's been quite a long journey with so many lessons that I have learned along the way. And I am fully utilizing those lessons to the best of my ability, in which I have now learned to really be capable of enjoying my orchids and finding great pleasure in them. And that was not the case in the beginning of my journey, because I was very ignorant. I let my heart lead the way. I threw all caution to the wind. I didn't do my research. And I purchased any orchid that floated my boat or tickled my fancy just because I loved it and had to have it. And I gotta tell you, those were the worst investments that I made, because majority of them did not survive. And if they're still around, they are still struggling, okay? So one of the greatest lessons that I have learned is to work smarter and not harder, to stop buying orchids that were not made for me or my environment, because that really plays a very important role on what orchids will thrive and flourish, or even perhaps wither away and die. And some other orchids that I absolutely refuse to get are actually baby seedling orchids. I know, guys, they are so cute. They are so adorable and so affordable. But don't get it twisted and don't be fooled, because they are also a lot harder to care for than your more mature and established orchids. As a matter of fact, I made some of the worst investments on baby seedling orchids, which I am ashamed to admit, but for the sake of learning a lesson, I have sent each and every one of them on a direct, no return flight to Orchid Heaven, and may they rest in peace. To be quite frank with you guys, all orchids are not created equal. It is not a one size fits all when it comes to the care requirements and accommodations that some of these orchids need. And the sooner that I could embrace that, well, the sooner I could get to getting the orchids that I would know would definitely thrive within the type of accommodations that I have, and also the type of orchid grower that I am. So the moral of the story, guys, is to basically stop purchasing all of these orchids that will not grow well in your environment, and save yourself the frustration, the stress, and also the heartache. And instead of going through all of the turmoil, just buy orchids that will love you for you and the accommodations that you can give it. I am telling you, you are going to be so much happier And some of you guys may have noticed that this year actually has been the most minimum amount of orchids that I've actually purchased. And what is the reason for that? Well, you know what? I'm really treasuring and appreciating the orchids that have been with me all this time. And these are the orchids that are thriving and flourishing well for me. So I'm taking that one-on-one time to appreciate each one. A lot of times what happens is we get so many orchids, we don't even have time to really appreciate the ones that we've already had, the ones that have been with us, and the ones that are thriving well for us. A lot of times we are so frustrated with the new orchids that we've gotten, and perhaps even the orchids that aren't doing well for us. Again, we just don't have that one-on-one time to get to know the ones that have really been pushing forth and really giving us the orchid love that we deserve. So that's what I've been doing, is really getting to know each and every one of my orchids so that I can be the best grower that I can be for them. So yes, unfortunately, my collection purchases will be at a bare minimum. I mean, I have over 300 orchids, guys, but not only that, I have actually even more plants than that, from your ferns to your bromeliads to your garden plants to your house plants. I just haven't showed you all of them. But the reason why I'm really focusing not just on my orchids, but on my entire garden plants in general, and that does include my orchids, because you guys have to understand, I don't just have a grow space, I have my entire collection outdoors. So what I have is somewhat of a plant ecosystem, if you will, that these plants actually depend on one another to grow. And believe it or not, many of my plants actually serve a function and a purpose. Somewhat of a microclimate is what they create together. So the plants that I've been getting, or the plants that I have already, all coexist in harmony, and they all have a reason for their being. So I am working on my entire plant collection, and that's including my orchids as well. So as you guys have seen, I have expanded my collection, and I am showing you more of the different types of plants that I've been getting, because I've been on a total transformation with trying to get the best tropical paradise environment that I can get, and I've come a mighty long way, and I'm very pleased and I'm feeling very accomplished with what I've been capable of doing this year. I mean, in my garden, it reminds me of a tropical rainforest. And when I water my garden, you would not believe how much moisture is retained, how it gets so steamy and misty within my garden. I mean, I can actually envision and imagine myself literally being in a tropical rainforest, because that is how it feels in my garden. And the reason why I am capable of getting that type of atmosphere is because all of my plants that are in my garden. So that is the reason why I've been branching out and showing you more and more different types of plants. Don't worry, guys, my heart belongs to these orchids. I do love them so they are never ever ever going away. But just know and understand that we are going to be introducing my entire garden collection. So with all of my plants working and living hand in hand together, I gotta tell you, they've been creating the most perfect tropical environment for all of them to thrive and flourish. And I know, guys, that was a little bit long-winded, right? But I definitely wanted to give you a bigger perspective and also give you an inside scoop of why I've been making certain purchases and also why I haven't been making certain purchases, just to give you something more to think about. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the orchids that we want and dream about but must live without, because we can't have them. And I'm actually going to name off those orchids from least to greatest. So starting with number 3, we will talk about the Masdevallias, dun 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 dun. And I do love the Masdevallias because they are so unique looking, also very, very tropical as well. But unfortunately, within my environment, it is not suitable at all for it. It is more of a cold growing orchid, and guess what? I live here in bright, sunny, very hot Florida, so I am not even going to attempt it. But I do love them, so I just have to love them from someone else's collection. Okay, so number 2, that would go to the Dracula orchids. Now, you guys should already know why I love that orchid so much, because it's so unique, because it's so awkward, because it is so freakish in nature. How could you not love it? I mean, the orchid doesn't even look like an orchid flower. It looks like some sort of creature. Very bold, very animal looking, I would say, and that really draws me to that orchid. I love it so much because of its uniqueness. Very beautiful in my eye, but unfortunately, like the Masdevallias, not suited for my conditions, and you will not have a go over here. I'm not going to torture you because that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to love on my orchids, not torture them. Be thankful that I will not be getting you. And the number 1 orchid on my wish list that I wish I could have but will never, ever, ever, ever have it. You guys should already know this by now. I've been saying it since the beginning of orchid time here. Is the Karina Motes Vanda. Yes, indeed, the black Vanda. I will not be getting that anytime in the future, and it's probably going to stay permanently like a tattoo on my wish list. But not only will I not have it, but no one will have it, so that makes me feel a little bit better because it is not being sold. They don't have any to sell right now. So until they have it available, even at that time, it will more than likely cost an arm and a leg and a toe and probably your head as well. So I will not be getting it even when it does come about in the marketplace. But not only that, they're probably going to have like a line a mile long. So again, permanently on my wish list, but I do wish I could have it, but will never, unfortunately, have. And there you have it, folks. Those are the very 3 most wanted orchids, but I cannot have them. So sad and too bad. And now that I've done my tag video, it is time for me to tag others as well. Who's the lucky one? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Well, if your name is Brian of Artwork, Orchids, and Beekeeping, you, my friend, have been tagged. Tag, you are it. Also, if your name is Sharon Short, you, my dear, my sister through Orchids, have been tagged. And if your name is Pops Orchid, you, my friend, also have been tagged. You guys are it, and I'll be waiting for your tag videos as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode of My Orchid Adventures. And if you guys like this video, please be sure to like, share, and also subscribe. And also, if you haven't yet already, please join me on Facebook, also Instagram under My Orchid Adventures. And as you guys already know, I do truly love and appreciate each and every one of you guys all. And I will see you guys later, and I'll also grow with you guys later as well on my next adventure. See you guys later. Mwah.